Hello and a very warm welcome. Good evening, one and all. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Kritsween Valia, and we're coming to you live from CNN News 18 Prime Time Studio, presented by Green Lamb Laminates. Viewers, the Uttarakhand government has rolled out the Uniform Civil Code, making it the first state in independent India to implement the Civil Code. Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami announced the implementation, unveiled the notification and introduced the rules for UCC. A dedicated portal for the mandatory online registration of marriages, divorces and live-in relationships was also launched as part of the initiative. The Chief Minister said the credit entirely goes to the people of the state. Viewers, the Uniform Civil Code is basically modelled upon the vision of a single set of laws applying to all citizens regardless of their religion, as enshrined in Article 44 of the Constitution. Do remember, the demand for a UCC has also been on BJP's electoral manifesto since 1989. The other two, construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya and abrogation of Article 370, remember, have been delivered. But it's not all that simple, as the BJP is weighing in on multiple factors that may cause hindrance in the nationwide implementation of UCC, including concerns being raised by some of its own allies like the JDU. Before we talk about the politics around this historic development, let's jog your memory through what this means for Uttarakhand and beyond. 2.5 years of rigorous consultations and preparations. Finally, the Pushkar Singh Dhami government in Uttarakhand has implemented the Uniform Civil Code. Here's what the implementation of UCC means for the state going forward. The first big takeaway on your screens: it puts to end practices like halala idadat, polygamy, child marriage and triple talaq. Further, the scheduled tribes mentioned under Article 342 of the Constitution have been excluded from this code to ensure protection of their traditions and customs and to avoid backlash from these communities to an extent. Across all religions, the minimum eligible age for marriage has been set at 21 years for boys and 18 years for girls. Following which, in all religions, equal rights have been given to both husband and wife after divorce. And no discrimination, this is important, no discrimination made among children regarding property rights, whether they're born out of natural relationships, through surrogacy, or children in live-in relationships. All children considered to have equal rights to property. The sixth big takeaway being registration of live-in relationships. This has been mandatory in the Uniform Civil Code. The registrar will inform the parents or guardians of couple registering for live-in relationships, and this information will remain completely confidential. Further, children born during a live-in relationship will be considered the legitimate child of the couple and will have all the rights of the biological children. And to prevent disputes among family members over property of a deceased person, the law going forward will provide equal rights to the deceased wife, children and parents. The implementation of the Uniform Civil Code in Uttarakhand could indeed have significant national implications as well. So let's straight away deep dive. It sets legal precedent for other states to follow. UCC aims to provide a single set of laws for citizens irrespective of religion, caste, community, and a unified legal framework could potentially reduce confusion, conflict and discrepancies between different personal laws. One of the strongest arguments in favor of UCC is that it could promote gender equality by ensuring that all citizens, regardless of their religious affiliation, are subject to the same legal standards. And following this, UCC is going to address each and every disparity. But for the ruling BJP, the implementation of UCC would be a politically significant move. We say this because, remember, the party has long supported the UCC as part of its vision for a unified and secular India. And by taking the lead in Uttarakhand, it could use the success of the policy as a tool to consolidate its support base. Talking about the other big takeaway, the UCC, though is facing significant resistance from several communities, particularly religious minorities who argue that it infringes upon their cultural and religious rights. Resistance could come in form of protests, petitions, legal challenges, possibly even leading to a public debate about religious freedom and the role of state in personal matters. The UCC is likely to face constitutional scrutiny in the courts as well. India's constitution, remember, guarantees right to freedom of religion under Article 25 and the right to cultural and educational rights for minorities under Article 29. This could result in a series of judicial challenges to UCC's constitutionality. The UCC also aligns closely with the BJP's broader ideology of one nation, one law, which seeks to reinforce national integration. And by positioning the UCC as a means to unite India under legal framework, the BJP could appeal to the nationalist sentiments. And a wave of interest in implementing the Uniform Civil Code, viewers, is growing across India, with several states starting to consider or take steps towards its adoption. Inching towards UCC, we're already seeing Uttarakhand set the example. It's taken the lead in implementing the Uniform Civil Code, the first such state to do so in independent India. Not too far away, perhaps Assam. It's considering the introduction of a bill that could pave the way for UCC in the state, and this comes alongside a proposal to repeal the Muslim Marriage Act, signalling an intent to unify personal laws for all communities. Haryana, once again, is in the process of studying the feasibility of implementing UCC. As part of its examination, the state is likely evaluating the potential social and political implications, including how it would affect various communities and the local legal landscape. Madhya Pradesh, also looking into implementation of the UCC, the state government has proposed forming a panel to study how the law could be applied within the context of state's existing legal framework. Uttar Pradesh, another state which is now deciding to implement UCC, but this is only going to happen after reaching a consensus with various communities, ensuring that the introduction of law does not lead to unnecessary social unrest or political backlash. And Gujarat is also taking a more methodological approach by forming a committee to assess the aspects of UCC. The committee will likely review the legal, social and religious ramifications of implementing such a civil code. So that's what the plan in place is for the other BJP-ruled states to begin with, while many in the opposition have also voiced their disapproval, arguing that the law lacks true quote-unquote uniformity. There are allies like the JDU who've called for an analysis that goes beyond political posturing and one that addresses sensitive questions around Uniform Civil Code. So is the Uttarakhand model an attempt to test the waters before UCC becomes a pan-India reality? And how easy or difficult is it going to be, the road ahead for other states? We debate that after playing out the top reactions. Listen in.
आज ये बहुत ऐतिहासिक दिन है, क्योंकि आज हम समाज में समानता स्थापित करने से उद्देश्य से बनाई गई समान नागरिक संहिता को देवभूमि उत्तराखंड में लागू करने जा रहे हैं।
धर्म के नाम पर इनको टारगेट करना है, किसी भी धर्म विशेष को, ये यूसीसी लागू कर रहे हैं।
कोई ऐसा विषय आएगा जिस पर उसकी चर्चा करने की आवश्यकता होगी तो वो करेंगे। उसको अगर चैलेंज करने की आवश्यकता होगी कोर्ट में तो वो भी किया जाएगा।
आज देश के लिए बहुत ऐतिहासिक दिन है जब उत्तराखंड में आज से यूसीसी लागू हो रहा है। आने वाले समय में पूरे देश में यूसीसी लागू होगा।
Let's quickly open this up with our guests joining us this evening. Rohan Gupta, spokesperson of the BJP, Salam Dharan, spokesperson of the DMK, along with Shahid Ali, lawyer and Islamic scholar, and lawyer Ashutosh Srivastav completes the panel. A very good evening to you, gentlemen. I want to first up begin now with our political representatives before we try and brainstorm what this means for India going forward. Mr. Dharan, to you first. You know, your party all in all has opposed a uniform civil code, especially at the national level. Now that Uttarakhand has set things in motion, the first state in independent India to implement UCC, not just in letter but in spirit as well. Your first thoughts?
Two things in lighter note. First is that under this BJP government, there is no civility nor there is uniformity. And secondly, what we have right now is a communal civil code. I'll tell you the reason why my party has been rejecting this. It's simple because uniformity does not mean harmony. We need harmony between people of different communities, religious groups, caste groups. So uniformity does not bring it. I'll say it's not my leader saying it or even the opposition said it. In 1972, Goldwalker himself has said in one of his writings that countries that go towards uniformity gets destroyed in the end, right? So India is unlike different countries in the world. It's a pluralistic land where people following different customs, cultures, religion, whatever live together. It's a unique exercise, or it's actually the greatest experiment on pluralism in the world, and that's why we need the ways in life of different communities and people should be protected. But I'll also go and tell you this: if you want to bring uniformity, right, then why don't you start with bringing uniformity within the Hindu religion? For example, DMK government after coming to power passed a law by which people belonging to all castes can become priest. Why can't Uttarakhand start with that? Right? Why can't people from
No,
all
but
castes
just
go
to understand where you're coming from, Mr. Dhandidharan, do you think UCC is not about giving justice through uniform civil rights? Instead, it is about actually making changes to religious practices, enforcing those changes on people? Do you think that that's the problem? Because the proponents have advocated otherwise. They say this is only a means to ensure justice through a uniform civil practice.
See, if it is going to be justice, then it has to be justice for all. In this government, if you want to bring uniformity, then the law has to be same for all. This is a government that is prejudiced towards the corporates and to mean prejudiced in favor of the corporates and then prejudiced against the poor and the downtrodden. That is point number one. Point number two is also that in this law, you have said if a couple have to cohabit together, they'll have to be registered. Who's going to monitor the government official? So the private lives of two individuals is now going to be scrutinized by a government official. If two consenting adults had to get married, they'll get married. If they have chosen to live together, it is for some reason that's known to them. That individual freedom should be given. Right? So that is against women empowerment. You've been saying this laws for women empowerment, but this actually goes against women when a girl and a boy had decided to live together after the age of 18, legally, right? So what role does the state have? Or even a boy and a boy living together, or a girl and a girl living together, it is an individual right. Whoever they want, they can live. But that you're putting into scrutiny, that is, again, this is a problem there. Again, yes, I'm saying, even under Sharia Act, there has been some amount of empowerment given to women. For example, after marriage, a set amount of money that has to be paid to the wife is pre-described. So there is no dowry system there. So you are trying to destroy all that. See, if different communities have to live in harmony, then all their voices will have to be heard. We can't enforce one thing on the other. See, if it is about equality or uniformity or about empowerment of women, my party would have stood. But this is more about an electoral gimmick. Where the BJP's usual line is to...
Okay, somebody says electoral gimmick, somebody says it's a diversionary tactic. People have also questioned the timing of this idea being spoken of by several BJP leaders, Rohan Gupta, before Lok Sabha elections, as to why is it being timed in that particular way. How do you respond to these concerns by the opposition?
See, Christian, the way opposition parties have been playing politics in name of constitution from the time Lok Sabha elections were there, holding copies of constitution, and I think this is the biggest hypocrisy which is exposed in name of UCC. If my friend or anybody in opposition party reads the constitution properly, but the part 4 of Article 44 clearly says the state shall endeavor to secure citizen a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. When across 140 crore people, you are just implementing the constitutional, which is clearly written in the constitution. It is not, and there is no ambiguity. It is clear-cut written in our constitution. When BJP is following the constitution, when you people are opposing that, now you have to decide who is against constitution, who is with constitution. So I think UCC has exposed the biggest hypocrisy of the politics of opposition party, where they just for the sake of votes, they are holding copy of constitution. You tell me, Christine, if Hindus or Muslims, everybody, they come under uniform civil code, a country with majority of Hindus, if there is no issue from their side, if the opposition party is opposing UCC for minorities, do you feel it is justified? The first question, if anybody needs to ask, is by the majority community. If they are falling in a place, if BJP is supporting what is written in constitution, why they are playing politics negatively? So I think this is going to be
but
the
it's
big
also
issue
important,
in
Rohan,
future
at the same time to, to ensure that there is a pan-India consensus over the same, right?
Absolutely.
A majoritarian view cannot be taken as the right view.
I completely see that's what, if you are just counting the states, there are men like UP. where there is a majority minority population, they have said, they've clearly told that we will hold consultations. There is nothing wrong. But my point is, why opposition parties are opposing this idea? I am not against consultation. I am not saying it should be imposed. But from the day one, even in Lok Sabha, if they are against the idea, they have to accept that they are against the constitution.
Okay.
That is my basic point.
Okay.
You cannot oppose UCC because when you are saying that you are supporting constitution, you must read constitution's part 4 section, so 40, article 44. And then you
So
will
you're
answer
citing Article
yourself what is
44,
the
they're
interpretation.
citing Article 25 and 29. That's where perhaps, that's why we're in a situation today where we're seeing a state-by-state approach, right? So that's why I ask you, Mr. Shahid Ali, why is there so much criticism coming in for this kind of an approach by a BJP-led government? Now we're talking about a state with 14% Muslim population, right? This could be the BJP testing waters, but where is the problem? If this idea stands defeated, then we're not going to see a subsequent implementation in other states.
Article 44 cannot have supremacy over fundamental rights enshrined under the Constitution. Article 25, Article 30, Article 29 has to be given the supremacy because those are the fundamental rights. No one can take away those articles. No one can take away those rights. No one can abolish or demolish the basic structure of the Constitution. So as far as the basic structure of the Constitution is concerned, fundamental rights are concerned, those cannot be done away by virtue of this Article 44. Article 44 is just an article, and the articles casting duty upon states, it starts from Article 36 to Article 51. There are various duties of a state to provide food, to provide education.
Okay, you can
to
raise
provide
that
shelter.
contention, Shahid Ali, but I want to quote verbatim Article 44 and what it entails, so that our viewers know it with clarity.
If you will
It
allow
says
me,
the
if you will
state
allow
shall
me,
endeavour to secure for the
there are
citizens a uniform
certain-
civil code throughout the
Yes, there
territory
are-
of India.
There are various acts available
what I
in
have
India.
already
There are
told.
various acts which speaks about uniformity. If we speaks about this special marriage act, anybody may get their marriage registered under that. If you speaks about the atrocities upon women, there is a domestic violence act. No, in respect to the religion, everybody and anybody may approach that. As far as guardianship is concerned, as far as this partition is concerned, hierarchy is concerned, for everything we have the special laws that is available to all, irrespective of the religion and caste. Then what is the need of this bringing? What is the need of bringing this UCC?
Because Shahid Ali, what's happening is that there are women and Muslim women, several Muslim women who say this is their only way at gender justice. That they really don't have much hope from the Sharia law or fighting it. They've lost all hope and they say that's where their hope is pinned.
Is there any consensus to that effect? Is there any data to that effect? And how many Muslim women say so? Out of 20 crores, how many women? At least 10 crore women. How many statements they have taken that these are these are gender biased? The laws available or the laws applicable among the Muslims are gender biased? How many say so?
Okay, hence
So
I'm
this all is-
asking you.
this-
This is a good opportunity to
This-
test the waters, Mr. Ali, isn't it? We'll get to know how the state responds to it, and then perhaps
if they are in power, they cannot act arbitrarily.
Okay.
They have to act. They have to justify everything. They have to justify constitution. They cannot abrogate constitution. I say that they cannot abrogate constitution in the name of the power which they ultimately drive from the people. They cannot make laws against the people. Because in India, the democracy cannot become the puppet of someone who is in power. Because ultimately power lies with people. And there are the honorable courts as well to check and to review whatever law if a political party is in power on the basis of strength in the parliament or assembly, they may bring any law, but that has to be tested before the honorable courts as well.
Shahid Ali, what I find very interesting
So
is, and
this
this is what the
absolutely is
courts
rubbish.
also uphold, that the idea of uniform civil laws is going to lead to national integration, and that's perhaps the larger vision which is being spoken of when we're talking about the implementation of such a civil code. But Ashutosh, please respond to Mr. Shahid Ali's concerns.
See, first of all, I want to say about this Article 44, which rightly has been spoken about, that the constitution says that in the entire territory of India, there has to be civil, uniform civil code that has to be implied. That should be the trying for the government must try doing that. This is one part of it. Now, my learned friend says that it can be violative of Article 25. So I want to say that it is not violating Article 25 because the Uniform Civil Code is not at all prohibiting the citizens of this country from professing their own religion and to have the right of worship. That is not being taken away. See what it says about the registration of
Is that only?
marriages, divorce, maintenance, inheritance. So it is actually to bring the uniformity among all the citizens of this country.
No, but
we have other articles.
But where is the counter to the argument being put forth by Mr. Ali that this is unconstitutional in nature? Can you tell us? No, can you tell us and cite a case in point here that the state, as much as the center, are empowered to make
Yes.
such laws around subjects like divorce, marriage, inheritance?
The biggest example here could be Article 370 itself. When it was abrogated, the same issues were raised, and the entire issue was decided by the Honorable Supreme Court. So the Apex Court decided, and the Apex Court came to a conclusion that there was a power, and according to that only the government has taken such a decision, and this was upheld by the Apex Court itself. So now, if we see the other articles like Article 14, 15, there are many such articles which speak about the uniformity, which also says that no citizen should be discriminated on the basis of caste, religion, gender, etc. So these also aspects have to be taken into consideration. I think nationality should be the first priority, and religion, caste, etc. should always be treated as secondary. So there is one nation and there should be one law, because we are promoting secularism, and secularism is something where the law should be equal to everyone. Nobody should be discriminated. Whatever religion somebody follows, that right has not been taken away by UCC.
And there's a
So
flip
that is
side
not being
to
taken
it.
away.
There is a flip side to each and every aspect if we talk about Uniform Civil Code, Rohan Gupta, and that's why we're perhaps looking at this very carefully measured response from the BJP as well. We've not seen the BJP hurry into this because it has been, like I said, one of its biggest poll promises, not the last 10 years, but for the longest time, right? But there are warnings being sent out by the RSS, for instance, who are talking about tax exemption, for instance, for under HUV, Hindu undivided family. Now, in case of a uniform civil code, either that will be implemented to all religions or you'll have to do away with it. So there is a concern which the BJP is also facing, a challenge that the BJP is also facing here.
See, absolutely, as you have rightly told, this is a sensitive issue, and that's why we want deliberations, discussions, consensus. Absolutely, it is not going to be imposed. But at the same time, one of my friends told that it is against the fundamental right. How it is against the fundamental rights? When, as per Article 44, you are ensuring common civil code, uniform civil code for everybody, how it becomes against fundamental rights? Everybody enjoys their fundamental rights, irrespective of caste, religion, creed, everything. How can you say that this is against fundamental rights? So my point here is, it is about the mindset. Again, I'm saying we are a sensitive country. There are lots of issues before you implement such a sensitive law. But at the same time, when discussions are going on, the opposition party should not oppose the idea. They can raise their issues in the implementation. They can raise their issues that what the stages of implementation, all this is fine. It's a democratic process. But my fundamental question here is, when you are opposing the idea of UCC, you are against constitution.
Shahid Ali, there's another contention, which is the issue of gender justice. Now, most of the personal laws are remiss this, and that's one concern that's been spoken of by the proponents as well. How do you legally counter that argument?
There is no legal gender biasness as far as the applicability of Sharia and other laws are concerned.
But isn't that very subjective, Mr. Ali? What you're saying, isn't that very subjective?
Please hear me out. Please hear me out. If a woman files a case for maintenance, definitely she will file a case under this Domestic Violence Act. And that act is applicable upon all, irrespective of religion. And if she files a case under Section 125 CRPC, again, that is also irrespective of the religion. So as far as this narrative is concerned, that is different than the practicality, than the actuality. In actuality, if a person or if a woman wishes to file a case under secular laws or under the laws which are applicable to all, they may definitely, and they have to.
So you're saying there's
So,
no
and
protection.
all courts
There's no
regards.
protection in this case, for instance, under Sharia law. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there is protection. There is a protection. They want to take over this protection. They want to take over this protection.
But
In
that's
fact,
exactly what's devoiding gender justice here, sir. That's exactly what is being said.
On what grounds? On what grounds?
Okay.
What they want to say?
Okay,
Like
I'll let
this?
Ashutosh quickly respond, and then I need to go across to Mr.
They should
Dhanmi
say
Dharan as
something
well.
on that ground.
Say, I
Mr.
think
Srivastava.
my friend Shahid, he himself answered that when he says that there are already laws which are neutral to all the religions. So why not this UCC? If that
why
is
make it
so,
compulsory
then
upon
where
all?
is the
That is
problem
the
with
question.
UCC? The question
question
arises
is you have been making compulsory upon all.
why the law should be applied in a different way to different religion, to different gender.
Sir, there is
Everybody
always
should be
difference between
treated
the
equal.
option.
No, correct me if I'm
And
wrong, Mr.
making
Ashutosh.
something
It all
compulsory.
comes down to whether or not a Muslim woman, for instance, should be fighting or going to the same length to defend herself in any of these cases as is applicable to a Hindu woman. That's what we're saying, right, Ashutosh?
Yes, as my learned friend said about Domestic Violence Act, about Section 125 CRPC, which is now comes under BNSS. See, these laws, they do not speak about any particular, religion or, a particular caste or anything. These are all neutral laws and are applied for any religion. They can go to the court and can try to get justice for them. And this is what I feel is the need of the hour. Why this country should be divided into so many religions, caste, is that it is not required. Let the laws be equal to everyone. Let the Indianness come in each and every individual. First, one should be Indian. First should be the nationality should be the priority. That should be the first thing. And then other thing should be it is not at all prohibiting anybody from professing any particular religion. So I don't find that there is anything wrong. It is as per the consistency of the constitution, and it is very much, it protects the basic values of the constitution for which it was meant for which it was constituted. So
in Uttarakhand implementing this, I'm sure all constitutional practices have taken place and there's nothing illegal that Uttarakhand has decided to do on its own.
Yes.
So it's going to be a measured
Absolutely.
step. Whether or not it works out for us collectively, something that we'll have to wait a little while to ascertain. But Mr. Dhanmi Dharan, we've brainstormed the legal aspects of this case. Getting back to politics a little bit, what is also being spoken of by the BJP is the deliberate manner in which UCC is being targeted only because it's part of the BJP vision. And it goes against a certain vote bank that some of the opposition parties are looking at.
Yeah, I think I would like to tell you, also to the previous spokesman who said that we are same country, we should have... we should do certain things same. See, that is the difference. What is India is unity in diversity is India. So that's what makes India very unique. Because we follow different caste, different religion, different customs, doesn't mean that we all can't cohabit together. We live together harmoniously in spite of our differences is what makes India strong. More you try to make it uniform, it will only destroy the India historically across the world. That's what it says. We living together irrespective of the differences. But the problem with UCC is that it is not about uniformity also. It is not about justice, rather. It is a political gimmick, and that is the problem. The Article 14 says every customs will have to be respected.
Okay,
so
you're doing away with uniformity in bringing in UCC.
See, again, I'll tell you one more point. Again, what is funny about UCC is also that now each state is going to have a unique UCC. So where is uniformity in that? Right, Uttarakhand is going to have its UCC, which will be one version, and then maybe a state.
No, but I don't think. No. I don't think what UCC entails is going to differ. If we implement it for instance, Madhya Pradesh or Assam, the terms and conditions are not going to change. Rohan, 30 seconds to you, then I need to quickly wrap up.
You are absolutely right. When you are implementing UCC, it's not going to be that state-wise. It will be to the basic essence is the same. Absolutely, and one more thing.
But he's also saying you're doing away with uniformity. This goes
How
against
it
the
is
diversity.
against
narration.
uniformity. Uniform civil code is basically, that is what our constitution says, that every Indian should have equal right. It is not it is not taking away
I
uniformity.
think
It
both
is
are not the same.
giving equality. That is the basic mindset difference. One more
No,
thing: when triple
I think
talaq was introduced, you have seen the mindset of opposition parties. A law which
no,
nobody can under the sun object. They were object even that also, because it was introduced by BJP. So when Muslim women, if they were getting justice, even you are going to oppose that, I don't expect more than anything from that as far as
Again, I
opposition
think
party is
that is
concerned.
very
This is
subjective to the kind of minority population we're
Can I just
seeing,
come
the
in?
constitution of
Can I just come in?
women as opposed to, you know, the male core base in that particular state. So all of that will have to differ on a state to state basis. This is just the beginning. Whether or not we do see an implementation in Assam, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, for instance, that are very keen on doing so, we'll have to wait it out a little. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us and holding this discussion. That's all the time we have. That's all we could pack for you for now. Heading into a very short break, but on the other side, we shift our attention to an outbreak of a rare nerve disorder called the Guillain-Barré syndrome in Maharashtra, which has caused a lot of panic among the residents. Why exactly? What really is going on with this outbreak? We'll get you all the details in just a bit.